The headlines: brush fire claims apartment building. Caribbean Development Bank forecasts the economy will grow by half of central bank's estimate. And West Indies women win in South Africa. Welcome to Nation News for Wednesday, February the 24th, 2016.
Private and public sector leaders, Barbados' best employers, BBE, is back. Organizations, large or small, private or public sector, enter BBE 2016 now. Benefit from an independent staff survey and much more. All interested in improving staff engagement and productivity, here is the catalyst to get you moving. Our theme, Maximising Productivity, Building a Better Barbados. To enter, visit our website or call us at Caribbean Catalyst.
What started out as a brush fire has resulted in thousands of dollars in damage. The fire at Keyser Gap Enterprise Road in Christchurch destroyed an apartment building. At the time of preparing this newscast, 2 fire tenders were on the scene trying to bring it under control. Also there were the owner of the building and MP for the area, John Boyce, who said he was helping the fire service locate some of the hydrants. The Caribbean Development Bank is projecting that the economy will grow this year by half of that forecast by the central bank. The CDB expects expansion of a little under 1%, 0.9 to be exact, the lowest forecast among CARICOM states. The central bank's figure is 1.8%. The CDB's Director of Economics, Justin Ram, told a news conference that neither tax increases nor improved tourism numbers are translating to significant growth in the local economy. Dr. Ram said it is likely that tourists are not spending as much money as they did previously, or that they are not staying as long. He said the country is also feeling the effects of unemployment triggered by government austerity.
The government has instituted some recent tax measures. Now those tax revenues, of course, have to come from somewhere. It would be private individuals, private corporations also paying that tax. Now it means that tax will not be utilized elsewhere in the economy for perhaps those revenues will not be utilized elsewhere in the economy for other investment purposes. So that in fact there's a sort of a diversion of the resources away from perhaps productive uses towards the government. How the government actually decides to utilize those resources, we actually wait to see. But remember that currently the government is really into an austerity drive, and they are trying to minimize and to reduce the growth in expenditure. And so we do not expect the government to boost their expenditure significantly in 2016.
Dr. Ram also said the country's debt to GDP ratio remains quite high, and he's urged the Frendel Stewart administration to make a concerted effort to reduce it. The General Secretary of the governing Democratic Labour Party says the party will focus the rest of its second term on doing better for Barbados. George Pilgrim was responding to the results of a poll which showed the Dems well down in the popularity stakes to the opposition BLP on the 3rd anniversary of that second term. Mr. Pilgrim said governments all over the world are challenged to improve their performance, and the Frendel Stewart cabinet was hard at work. One of the ministers in the cabinet, Dennis Kelman, has told his colleagues not to panic, as the 2 years to the next general election was a long time in politics. The Bees have also responded to the poll, with General Secretary Jerome Walcott saying the results look good for the party and reflect what officials had been hearing on the ground. A fear culture may have developed among workers because of the tough economic times. A senior Labour officer has told Nation News at a Labour Laws seminar that many workers seem to be afraid to fight for their legal rights. Wayne Sobers said that even when they have the knowledge, some employees are reluctant to take action against their bosses. Mr. Sobers said he was not sure of the reason, but conceded that the state of the job market could be a factor.
One of the realities is the current state of the labour market, where the supply of labour is higher than the demand for labour. There are more jobs, there are more persons looking for work than there are jobs for them. And if you compare that, let's say, with the vegetable market, we all know what happens when there's an overabundance of cucumbers. You can get £10 for $2. And then there are other times when the supply and demand factors shift, where you may have to pay $3.50 or $4 for a pound of the said cucumbers. So that may be one of the issues. And of course, we've seen in recent years a more individual approach to industrial relations. So as many people don't see the need now for unions and for strength in numbers, some people prefer to go it alone.
Health officials say only 1% of households inspected so far in a mosquito eradication campaign have turned up breeding sites. 55-gallon drums, 5-gallon white buckets and tires have been identified as the main breeding grounds. The findings were released on Tuesday by Ronald Chapman, the government's principal environmental health officer.
Necessary treatments and so on were done, and persons were informed concerning the breeding, so those would have been taken care of. The program also calls for fogging immediately after those areas, so we would start the fogging in both areas, both in the north and in the south. You will see an intensification of the fogging program coming shortly, as we have a number of fogging machines on order, so that we can improve and increase the rate at which we are conducting that activity.
Trade unionist Tony Moore wants to see a national standard for food sellers. She says the time may have come for the Barbados National Standard Institution to take on that task. The Barbados Workers' Union General Secretary made the comments at a Week of Excellence function on Tuesday. Ms. Moore said owners of fast food enterprises, importers, food manufacturers, restaurant owners, and itinerant vendors had a responsibility to ensure that consumers ate healthily. She said the BWU is preparing to launch a medical plan which will place emphasis on preventative care and overall wellness. Also speaking during the event was PAHO representative Dr. Godfrey Swebb, who said healthy foods must be more accessible.
So the healthy choices for our lives need to be the easy, affordable, and accessible ones. This is why we have to work together to ensure that a healthy diet is one that all can have access to and can afford. There are some easy wins and some which are a bit more difficult to achieve. I congratulate the unions for supporting the move of the government in introducing a tax on sweetened carbonated drinks. This was an important move in reducing the consumption of such drinks which provide nothing but empty calories and which contribute a significant amount of calories to our diet.
In sport, West Indies women have beaten South Africa by 16 runs in the first one-day international in East London. Batting first, West Indies made 214 for 7 with half-centuries from Hayley Matthews and Brittany Cooper. Deandra Dottin then took 5 for 34 to help the regional side bowl out South Africa for 198 in 48.5 overs. And finally, a story that may sound familiar. Prosecutors in the American state of Wisconsin have charged 3 women with stealing more than $140,000 in lottery tickets from the convenience store where they worked. According to the complaint, the owner of the shop contacted police last month after finding out some of his employees were stealing lottery tickets from the business and giving them to someone in exchange for drugs. The thefts allegedly occurred over a 3-year period. And that's Nation News for Wednesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Daily Nation on Thursday or subscribe to our e-paper.